Make no mistake about it. Um, make no mistake about it. The drug war has a profound effect on so much at so many different levels. It's not even funny, right? It's a problem in the Hispanic community. It's a problem in the black community, especially. It's a especially with incarceration, and it's also a problem with a lot of whites, right? When it comes to drugs like narcotics, when it comes to a drug addiction and the whole nine, right? A lot of white people have that. White people per capita do drugs at the same rate as minorities, right? So it has a profound effect in their community as well, right? Like I know I've known a lot of white people that really get into meth and painkillers, and they get into, especially I've noticed anyway. That's anecdotal, but I've noticed that as a problem. Narcotics is a big problem. But with that said, and there's a reason I'm bringing this up, because you see in the political realm, there's ways to reroute attention. What the drug war does, in many respects, is it's the cause to all the effects, right? And all everybody sees is the effects of the drugs, the effects of incarceration, the effects of how it impacts people's lives, the effects of what it does at the border, the effects of what it does with immigration, illegal immigration, the effects of what it does to Mexico and the rest of Latin America, the effects in which you see mafias and the drug cartels and gangs, in every respect in all these countries grow and have power, and how and the more you study the drug war, the more you realize it's all a big business. It's a business. It's a never-ending cycle, a very sophisticated never-ending cycle. A war, quote unquote, that you can't win. It's not worded right. What do you mean a war, right? Now, why am I bringing all this up, right? You have the rise of Donald Trump, and look, there's going to be a lot of Donald Trump supporters that are going to deny this, and that's fine, right? A lot of white people right now, okay, unfortunately, are very paranoid, right? I didn't say all white people, okay? I'm saying, but a lot of them are very paranoid, okay? Some more extreme than others, but believing that there's some white ethnic cleansing going on, and they think that they're being targeted. They don't feel like it's their country anymore. Like there's a lot of that feeling, right? They feel disenfranchised, and all they see is the effects. That's what they see, right? So, like when you have the drug war, right? And this has been proven, by the way. It's been proven. But anyway, everyone does drugs at the same rate. Blacks are incarcerated at unbelievable numbers, right? So, and that's the effect from the drug war. They're targeted more, right? So what does that do? That puts the narrative, oh look, most of them are incarcerated. They commit the most crimes, yada, 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 right? It puts that narrative out there, okay? So when you see the illegal immigration problem, there's two things that cause illegal immigration, right? NAFTA is one big component of it. It's not that complicated. It just takes some explaining, but I'll do it as quick as I can, right? When the free trade agreements took place, right, what that caused was it gave American billionaires and millionaires the ability to take their companies out of this country with either limited tax or no taxation, right? For the purpose of having lower wages, because the unions, Americans were being paid very well, all right? They had very good jobs, and when people have a good job and being paid very well, and they're doing good for themselves, they don't tend to be as angry. They don't tend to be as upset with the world, and they have no reason to look for somebody to blame because they're happy, right? So what does that do? It causes anger and frustration. These jobs are shipped where? Let's say Mexico. So there's already an anger. They went to Mexico. Fuck Mexicans. And it already creates that anger, right? And then you still have Mexicans coming here, so it gives that perception, motherfuckers, they took our jobs and then they still have the nerve to come here. Get the fuck out of here. It creates that tension, right? But here's the thing. Why are they coming here if all the jobs went over there? Well, over there they don't have like strong unions, and they don't have. Why did they ship the job over there in the first place? Cheap, practically slave labor, right? Okay, now free trade, right? This allowed, farmers in the United States, collectively, to be able to sell products, again, without the burden of taxation in Mexico, right? This put a lot of Mexican farmers out of business because they couldn't compete with this. They didn't have the resources to compete, with mega companies in the United States, right? They just didn't have. They were put out of business. The same way a company like Walmart puts out small businesses, it puts them out of business, right? Because they produce more, so they're able to put prices at a lower price, yada, 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 right? If you know business, you know what I mean. With that said, farmers that were doing very well for themselves in Mexico can't compete against, companies from the U.S. selling, their goods and services, fruits, vegetables. So it puts them out of business. What do the farmers have to do? The farmers, they have to go work in these factories owned by American billionaires. These factories don't fucking pay. So what do they have to do? Well, I'll go to America and try and find a job there. Because I could be a dishwasher in the United States, and their minimum wage is a lot more than what I'm making here, right? So that's why they come here. They're not coming here to piss racists off. They get all pissed off and shit, right? And then what else causes illegal immigration? They're fleeing. This is all a result of the drug war, right? They are fleeing the violence. A lot of these immigrants, actually, a lot of them die on their way over here, or just flat out disappear, which is another way of saying died, right? They end up having some money. They pay somebody to go ahead and transfer them from point A to point B to get across the border, right? A lot of these people hustle them, kill them in the process, right? A lot of them die of exhaustion and dehydration in the desert. They're putting their lives on the line to try and get to the United States to work. Think about that. Just think about that for a moment, right? That's their perspective, right? A lot of them, sure, the Border Patrol caught me. All right, lock me up. I get a meal. It is what it is, right? I've met people. I've heard about their journeys and about how the things they saw, done, just crazy shit. Okay. So that's why we have illegal immigration, right? It's easy to point the finger, though, right? It's if you want to address it, if you want to fix it, we have to look at the cause. Stop looking at the effect. Now, what guys like Donald Trump do is they know how to point at the effect of what's really causing it, but make make it seem like it's the cause. We're going to make America great again, like the good old days. You know, that's what we're going to do. Back in the good old days when you could just punch somebody in the face and not get sued for it. Send them out on a stretcher for protesting. Right? Let me make this clear to everybody. It is not unusual for there to be protests at a political rally. There's nothing unusual about that. It's not unusual for them to be escorted out, right? What is unusual is when they're getting jumped and beat up by the crowd. What is unusual is when the presidential candidate is telling people in the crowd, you know, go ahead, I'll pay the legal fees. That's unusual. What is unusual, you know what I found the most astonishing thing ever? There was a girl, right? And she was a Muslim girl. She thought she was going to go and try and show these Trump supporters that, look, I'm just going to go and show them that I'm not a violent person. I'm just going to stand there, you know, and just show them that I'm not violent. She was kicked out for being Muslim. That's it. She wasn't holding a sign. She wasn't saying anything. She was just standing up, right? And she got kicked out for being Muslim. That's it. That's why she got kicked out, right? And she was being told all these things by all these bigots while she was being escorted out, right? You know, the shit is insane. All their jobs are gone because of Mexico. Mexico, they take all the jobs. No. American businessmen decide that they're going to ship their jobs out of the United States over to Mexico and China, where they have child labor, okay? And you know who else does it? Donald Trump does it. Donald Trump has his ties made in Mexico. He has other shit made in China. The biggest fucking hypocrite in the world, right? Biggest hypocrite in the world, right? He does it too. All right, so you have no jobs, you suck, we're a bunch of losers, but we're going to be great again, we're going to win, right? These people think that their lives are going to just change dramatically when Donald Trump is elected, and it's sad. It's sad. It's a very sad thing to see. It honestly is. You know? You know what I noticed is that Donald Trump supporters, something tells me that they're going to be hit the worst by a Donald Trump presidency if it were to happen. You know, a lot of these people are very angry. They're not very happy with their lives. They're not. All right, and it's a lot of it is a narrative that's being put out there. It's fear mongering. Right? That's what it is. That's what it is. Look, the leading cause of death with Caucasian males, right? Or one of the leading, I don't know if it's the leading or one of the leading, but when we talk about gun violence, a good amount of Caucasian males are shooting themselves with a gun. They're shooting, they're killing themselves. Right? Like, that's an epidemic. Like, I'm talking about epidemic proportions. Like, they're all scared about ISIS, and I mean, they're shooting themselves. Right? It's a very, very sad thing to see. It honestly is. Right? A lot of these people are not happy with their place in life. They are not happy with, look, this is how you know. Right? They're bigots. This is how you know. When Bernie Sanders says universal health care, we're the richest country in the world, we can cover everybody, right? Boo, socialist, right? Why? Because you know, he's talking about everybody. white people, black people, Mexicans, Muslims, the whole nine. He's talking about everybody, Asians. He's talking about covering everyone, literally. When Donald Trump says, "I'm not going to let people die in the streets," when he basically says he wants socialized medicine, I mean, he's basically saying the same thing. In their head, it's not for everybody. He's banning the Muslims. He's making a big wall to get rid of all the Mexicans, right? He supports police 100%. He's against Black Lives Matter. This guy, all right, is for us. That's for us, not for them, and that's the difference. When you look at two people make the same political argument, but those same people are all for it when one guy says it, it's because they have an us versus them mentality. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Right, so I just wanted to put a lot of that shit out there. You know what's funny with these conservatives, man? Whenever you hear a case, the cop gets free from shooting somebody, the system's not rigged, and trust the system and trust the government. But when Donald Trump gets sued and loses the case in court, he's quick, and his supporters are quick to buy the whole notion of, the system's against me, the system's rigged against me, and yada yada yada, right? Blah blah.